Now I'm going to set the wood up and select the legs for the positions on the carcass. So I picked the boards with the best grain that I like, and I'll make those the front, and the other boards will become the back. And I mark them. In this case, this says FR, which stands for front right, and then there's an arrow on it that shows which side I consider the front. We'll keep them oriented now for the rest of the project as I lay out the joinery. To lay out the joinery, I like to lay all the boards out at one time. Typically, square them up to a straight edge like this, and then clamp them in a pack. And then I'll lay out the joinery on each leg simultaneously. Okay, now I've got all the boards marked for front, back, right, and left. At this stage, the drawings are pretty rough. This is the layout for the front, which will give me the drawer heights and the positions of the cross mullions on there. I've decided I'm going to have a 4.5-inch drawer, a 6-inch drawer, and a 7.5-inch drawer. And when I originally laid this out, I had a 1-inch, 1-inch, 1-inch mullions through there, and I've decided those are a little too heavy, so I'm going to go to 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. The first mark will be at 3/4 of an inch, and it will be the top board above the drawers. So I find my 1 3/4, or my 3/4 of an inch mark, and I mark that on the board. Okay, so that's my top divider at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Then the next drawer is going to be 4.5 inches. So I'll come down 3/4 plus 4.5. That would be 5.25. And then I'll go ahead and mark off the next mark, which is at 3/4. Now my second drawer is going to be 6 inches deep. So I'm going to come down here and mark it at 6 inches. And then the cross mullion is going to be 3/4. So I'll mark that at 3/4. Second drawer will be 6 inches, so I'll mark at 6 inches. The stile will be 3/4, so I'll mark at 6 3/4. Now, just so I don't have to do any math, I just slide the ruler down, line it up on that last mark, go out. The next drawer is going to be 7.5, so I'll mark that at 7.5. That'll be the drawer, and then below that will be the leg ornamentation. So there you see the layout. At each one of these locations there will be a support structure for the drawers to slide on, and there'll be some kind of joinery where I attach a rail into these leg blanks. Alright, the router is set up, and I'm going to cut the grooves, and I've carefully marked each board to make sure I get the groove in the right place. And this is going to be a stopped groove, so I'm going to have to pull it out before the groove cuts all the way through the leg. didn't cut all the way to the line, so I'll have to do a little chisel work to finish up that dado. Each drawer on this piece has a 3/4 inch strip of wood between it and the next drawer. So I need some wood 3/4 inches wide with this quarter sawn face grain, and so what I'm going to do is cut some boards. I have cut some boards with the face grain exposed, and I'm going to glue them to just some poplar so that I have a wider board that I can use to form the supports for the drawers and so forth, but it'll have the good face grain quarter sawn oak. See, it'll look like that. I'm just going to glue them all at one time and clamp them together, and when it's finished I'll have a piece like this. So I'll glue these together, clamp them all as a pack, and I'll end up with some good pieces for the frame. I need 3 of these drawer spacers, so I'm going to glue them all up at the same time, or I'll clamp them all at the same time. Spread a little glue on them, and then clamp them. The oak boards are actually wider than the poplar boards, but that won't matter at this point. And it's an easy operation through the planer to cut them down to uniform thickness. Now I'll make the joinery that joins the side panels to the legs. We machined a 3/8 inch dado in the leg. Now we need to cut the edge of the panel in such a way that it leaves a 3-inch tenon that will fit into that slot. So that's the next operation. I've set up the router to make this cut. It's important that this cut be made on the bottom side of the side panel, so I've marked a B on both of the panels to make sure I get the right edges up against the cutter. I'm using a 3-inch bit to make this cut. Would have probably been easier to use a little wider one, but I already had this one mounted and mostly set up, so I just used it again. It should fit into this groove, and it probably won't fit at this point, and it doesn't. I left it about a 1/64 over because I wanted to finish it off with the dado plane. So anyway, that looks pretty good. The next step will be to complete the carcass, and I've assembled it partially right now just to give you an idea of how it's going to go together. We have the 2 side panels we built and the leg blanks attached, and of course these blanks will be tapered to match the arts and crafts style. I want to show you the wood grain that I selected for the side panels. You saw this when we selected it in the rough wood, and now you can see the ray fleck pattern on the surface of the wood. It'll really pop once we do the finishing. The stain really brings it out, and then the clear finish gives it a real luster. Both side panels have some good rays, and the top also has some good pattern. You've got to see these boards all the way from the rough stage to this semi-finished stage now. Now we're going to build the frames that will form the inner structure of the carcass. The frames will be four-sided down each side, in front and back, and form a rectangle that will be the structure of the carcass. There will be 4 frames, as I've said previously, and they will be let into very shallow dados. Probably the dado won't be more than 1/8 of an inch deep. That's the next step. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.